All right, it is 1700. Now it's time for me to begin my class. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Introduction to Industry. If you want to find out what to do in EVE when you're not killing people or breaking things, this is where you start. This course is designed primarily for anyone who are unfamiliar with industry and want to learn more so they can decide if they desire to pursue such career paths. Over the next 30 minutes or so, we will be covering the following topics. What is industry? Mining, refining, planetary interaction, hauling, research and development, manufacturing, and of course, a Q&A at the end. My name is Tulsu, and the kind of experience I have with this, I have an alternate character who I've been playing with since 2006. He's a confirmed Care Bear, and he's done everything except for planetary interaction. I haven't really gone with all of that. But I understand what it is and what it does enough to speak to it. As far as everything else, I've done the whole shebang from top to bottom. All right, so a few ground rules for this class. You should have your mumble settings on push to talk if you haven't already done so. I prefer not to mute anyone or throw down the hammer, but I will do so if you become a public nuisance. Also, feel free to type any questions that you may have in the class.E-UNI chat channel as we proceed. I will try to answer those questions as they come during the class. Please note, though, that this class is designed just to be a basic overview of industry and is not intended really to cover specific details of its subtopics. You should be docked up safely in a station for this duration of the class. We are still at war, and you don't want to be caught with your pants down, as it were. All right, so real quick, as a means of providing attendance, if everybody that can hear my voice right now could please toss up an X in the class channel, and I'll copy and paste that bad boy at the end. So, I'll give you a few seconds. All right, if you haven't X'd up already, please do so now. I'm going to continue. Okay, what is industry? Industry is simply defined by myself as any activity by which you either create materials, alter materials to create something else, or move materials around. Also, anything involving the usage of blueprints in any way is defined as an industrial activity. Key activities defined as industrial are mining, refining, planetary interaction, hauling, research and development, and lastly, manufacturing. Each of these activities is complicated in and of itself and contain their own sub-activities. I will now give a brief overview of each of these activities, including a touch on some of the sub-activities that they have, as well as recommended E-UNI held classes that will give you more information on the topic. Again, feel free to ask any questions as they come up. Okay, so the first topic, the first key thing is mining. Mining is where you get out on a ship, fly in range of an object, and activate a module on it to obtain certain raw materials from that object. Mining includes ore, ice, moon, and gas cloud mining. Each player in EVE starts out with the very basic skills needed to mine ore in a newbie ship with a civilian mining laser. If you put time, effort, skill points, and money into developing this career path, it can become extremely lucrative, if boring in the opinion of some, means of creating income. For more information on this topic, your next class should, not surprisingly, be Mining 101. Please note that moon mining is an advanced topic and is not covered in Mining 101 or 102 for that matter. Briefly, it is just the process of using a player-owned station to extract basic elements from moons in the game and refining them into objects usable for Tech 2 production. Yes, be careful of Hawkageddon, but you shouldn't be flying hawks anyway. Okay, mining is pretty much where it all begins. Okay, everything in this game mostly is built from something that somebody mined or bought anyway. So, does anybody have any questions about mining before I go on? Just brief overview stuff. Okay, silence is consent. Refining is the next topic I'm going to cover. Refining is the action of taking mined objects. Okay, stand by. The mining leadership skill book should be found. You can get it in PaterTech. Anywhere skill books are seated, you can find that mining leadership skill book. Does that answer your question? Yes, those are the leadership director and foreman. Those are the skills needed. Okay, so I will go on to refining. Refining is the action of taking mined objects and turning them into materials usable for other actions. Ore refining creates minerals which are used for production. Ice refining creates isotopes and other materials which are used to fuel a POS or capital jump ship drives. Gas is not refinable, but is used in the creation of boosters. For more information on this topic, your next class should be Refining 101, which hasn't been created yet, and I will be doing so soon. Okay, Carice says that both of these are seated at ore stations only. I stand corrected. I've never really, well, I've bought them before, but I didn't really look and see where they came from exactly. Thank you, Carice, for that. Yes, you buy them from players on the market. Okay, so that's pretty much it about refining. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, so moving on to planetary interaction, or PI. PI is the means by which you extract items from planets, which are used in the creation of POS fuels or structures, sovereignty structures, or Tech 2 items. PI can be quite complicated and potentially expensive. For more information on this topic, your next class should be Planetary Interaction 101. Any questions on planetary interaction? Okay, next up is hauling. Hauling is simply the transportation of items from one point to another. While most hauling is done for personal reasons, some players and even whole corporations specialize in the movement of goods. Hauling is accomplished in ships ranging from a shuttle to a capital class freighters and everything in between, all depending on the size of the job. For more information on this topic, your next class should be Hauling 101. It's all pretty simple. It's coming to be a pattern here. Okay, so next up, I'm sorry, does anybody have any questions on hauling before I move on? PI will requiring hauling, yes. When you get stuff from the planet, you move it around. That is, I do not know for sure. Okay, there you go. Carice says you can't contract from customs office. You have to grab your stuff from the planet and bring it to a station, and from there you can contract things for movement. Yes, a POS stands for player-owned structure or station, starbase. There's a lot of different things people say. Though I believe the actual term is player-owned starbase, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so stand by. The deep space transports, I've never really owned one or used one. I always really ever used the blockade runner. The Iteron 5 is awesome. You can haul almost up to 50,000 meters cubed of stuff in Iteron 5. But yeah, I've never really used the deep space transports, to be honest with you. The blockade runner moves faster and it warps faster, but it's not something I ever played with. Okay, so moving on, research and development. Research and development, or R&D as it's commonly called, is all about working with blueprints. Blueprints are the means by which everything is made in the game. You can buy them on the market and do a lot of different things with them. What you can do, there's many different kinds of things, like I said, that you can do with them, such as copying, production efficiency research, material efficiency research, invention, reverse engineering, and finally manufacturing. For more information on this topic, there are actually several classes. For copying, production efficiency, and material efficiency research, your next class should be Research 101, which again also is coming soon. For invention, take Invention 101, which I gave a couple weeks ago. For manufacturing, take Manufacturing 101, also coming soon. And reverse engineering actually is a highly advanced topic and is covered under Tech 3 production. It's really advanced. Not a lot of people do that. It's all about wormhole stuff. Okay, are there any questions about R&D? Okay. Kronk asks, are there R&D agents? Yes, there are R&D agents. What you do is you have to run missions for a corporation, an NPC corp, in order to get standings with the R&D agents. And when you have proper standings with the agent, you can begin doing research with him, and you will acquire research points, which you can use to buy data cores, which are useful for invention or selling on the market because make you a butt ton of money. It's really nice. Yes, Data Core Farming 101 is also a class if you want to check that out. That's what you do with the R&D agents. All right, reverse engineering. I've never done it. I'm not really big with the wormholes. As I understand it, from what I briefly reviewed in the Tech 3 production wiki page, it is required in order to make strategic cruisers and their components. Like I said, I don't know too much about it, but the Tech 3 production has a wonderful flow chart if you look that up in the wiki that and it explains a bit of it. Okay, are there any other questions about R&D? All right, so next up is manufacturing. Manufacturing is the method by which you take some basic ingredients and turn them into a finished product, which can then be used, sold, or used as ingredients for other manufacturing jobs. Manufacturing, in most cases, is the king of industry, which creates the end result of all the other industrial activities. Manufacturing runs the gamut between creating a single round of ammunition all the way up to creating whole stations in nullsec space, or outposts, yes. For more information on this topic, attend the Manufacturing 101 class, which I'll be creating soon. A lot of the industrial classes haven't been made yet. I'm trying to go in order here from the introduction to do them step by step, and I'll be making them as I go along. Okay, and any questions about manufacturing? Okay, manufacturing can be done by rookies, sure. You don't need any skills to put in a job. Every player has one manufacturing job slot with no skills, but you'll need some skills in order to actually use the blueprints. Well, actually, what I would like to do, let me wrap up the class, and I will go more in depth into that. I figured this class would run about a half hour. It's only been 15 minutes. It's a really quick one anyway. So I will cover that here in a bit. and we'll explore a little bit there. All right, so to wrap up this class here, during the class we talked about a basic overview of what industry is and define the key career choices underneath of it. I appreciate you attending this introduction to industry. If you are interested in any of the topics, I encourage you to attend the next one-on-one type class specific to your area of interest. I would definitely appreciate any feedback, positive or negative, from you guys on how to improve this class in any way. Please be constructive. Flaming will result in me completely ignoring your post. So, all right, what I would like to do now is open up Q&A for the, you can please feel free to talk and mumble if you have any questions, things like that. Go ahead and take your best shot.
Question, how much ISK can you make from how much time involvement and skill points?
Well, it's all really scalable. In the beginning, you can, you're going to make a small amount, and then as your skills and your time increases, you will, of course, make more and more cash. And it'll end up being commensurate to the kind of things that you're going to buy anyway. Obviously, unless somebody is funding you with a great amount of capital in the first place, which people have done, you're going to start small and go big. A great deal of the experience I have is with corporation level things, so it wasn't personally done. But I know the corporation that I did all this work with, they're not hurting for cash, that's for sure. They make T2 frigates, like their Pez candy, and sell them out down in Gulf Nodi. But yeah, you can make a fair amount of cash. It just depends on what you want to do. Mining is pretty profitable. And it's very simple. Manufacturing, R&D isn't necessarily profitable by itself unless you research. You can do research on blueprints and then copy them and sell the copies. But research and development is generally something you do to make manufacturing more profitable. Does that answer your question at all?
Yep. Thanks.
Okay. Arliss Lumless, she asks, or he, I'm sorry, what is a good MEPE? Generally, for ships anyway, people just take them to 21 ME and PE. After that, the gain is really it falls off, and it's not really worth the amount of time you're going to put into research on that blueprint in order to gain more cash. Does that answer your question?
Question, how useful is making your own POS, and what are different kinds? Is there any difference between the sizes for industry?
Okay, for a POS, I imagine some people make POSs themselves. Generally, a POS is a corp level thing, or alliance. But if you're rolling in cash and you want to make your own POS, you can feel free to do that. It's very expensive, though, and it takes a great deal of effort to keep it running in terms of fuel and things like that. But there's small, medium, and large towers. There's faction towers that you put up. What you're really going to be doing as far as industry is if you can put laboratories there, what they do is you won't pay costs to put in the jobs like you would at a public station, but at the same time it costs money to keep the POS going, so you really got to look at that. Also, it's faster. The mobile laboratories and advanced laboratories in the POS give speed bonuses to the actual jobs that you put in. You can manufacture, you can refine in POS. The larger the POS, obviously, the more power grid and CPU it has, the more objects you can put into it. The more labs you can have, the more manufacturing. I'm not sure exactly what they're called off the top of my head. The more manufacturing structures you can use.
Arrays.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Manufacturing arrays, they are. Level 1 and 2 missions. Yeah, if you're definitely a hoarder, go for it for sure. I generally don't loot or salvage level 1 or 2 missions. I usually go 3 or sometimes 3 if I really feel like it. But 4s, you'll definitely want to loot and salvage those.
If I can add about salvaging, some things are not worth salvaging than others. Like Charistas generally are not worth the time.
Yeah, the different salvage you're going to get is, depending on the market values, not worth it. All right, Zarinil has a question about mining. Is it a waste of time going out on a hawk with strip miners to farm Veldspar? Should one go for rather for rarer ore? Veldspar will always be needed. In the industrial corporation, which I belong to since 2006, we did our time in high sec, low sec, and 0-0. Actually, for that matter, we spent some time down there. And you're always going to mine Veldspar because you're always going to need the tritanium, and it's without doubt the best way to get tritanium out there. Generally, what happens in mining is if you go out in a group. In a hawk, mining, you're going to mine the whole belt. You're just going to stick in a belt and mine the entire thing until it's gone. And generally, people only target specific ores if they want specific minerals. Like sometimes the CEO of my old corp will say, we're looking for a certain type of mineral. So I want you guys to mine this, and only this. That kind of stuff happens. But if you're just going for straight cash, if you're going for profitability, what you'll want to do is look at the ore types you have available to you and see what the breakdown is on what they refine into, and check the market values, do the math, and that'll tell you which ore that you have access to is the most lucrative to mine from. All right. Chronica asks, so how do I anchor this and use it to make my own station to move the moon harvesting array? You have to have either your own POS or access to a corporation POS. What you do is you scan down the moon, see if there's anything useful in it, and if there is, you anchor the moon harvesting array, and you need a refinery and silos and other such connecting things. I've dealt with POSs. I was never the one who designed them or fueled them. I just ran around and looked at them and used them and things. Yeah, there's a whole chain of things from the harvesting array to the refinery, and then what you do is you bring it away and you bring the output and you either sell it or use it for fuel or other things. Okay. Titanium asks for me to speak to the throughput of invention. It's required for T2 production, but how much exactly? Well, there are Tech 2 BPOs that exist in the game from the old T2 BPO lottery, but they're extremely rare, and you're never going to get one unless somebody dies and you inherit that bad boy. It's just not that those aren't really put out anymore. So the only way to make a T2 item is to use invention to create a T2 blueprint copy and that's what you will use along with all the materials to create that object. So it's absolutely required in order for T2 manufacturing or production. Basically, the way it works is you take a Tech 1 blueprint copy and you put it in an invention lab, and you put in some other objects, and you either it's chance based. You either get it or you don't. It's like jamming. If you get it, you get lucky, and you make that. You can either sell them or use them to produce your own items and sell those, or use them however you want. Okay. If I didn't answer anybody's question, I just ran to the bottom of them. All right. Sikoris asks, is there any sort of obvious path for a new player wanting to get into industry, for instance, mining ore, refining, then manufacturing? Yeah, that you pretty much hit the nail on the head. A lot of people, they start with mining first, and then they'll refine the ore that they make, and then they'll manufacture stuff. You can, as a rookie, with not a lot of skill and not a lot of cash, you got to start somewhere. Rome wasn't built in a day. You get some, you pick something. You say you want to, you look at the market, and a certain amount of ammunition is decently profitable. You just go to you go to a belt, mine up the stuff, refine it on your own, and use that blueprint to make it, sell it on the market. You're not going to make great amounts of money, because your skills are not all that great at the time. But like I said, Rome wasn't built in a day. The more skills the more skill points you get, and you spend in different industrial areas, the more money you're going to get. And eventually, once you get to the end of the career path, you're making bank.
I think there's people in uni who are perfect refining, who can just refine it for you and just give it back to you.
Yes, definitely a good point. If there's people around you that that have perfect refining, you can definitely ask them, and they'll be more than happy to help you out. I have All2 as perfect refiner. Okay, Abuji asks if there's any items that bind to the player, kind of like in World of Warcraft. No, there's no real binding, unless you would say the implants that you put in your head or rigs you put on a ship kind of bind to you. Is once you pull them off, they're destroyed. I guess you could say. Okay, so this pretty much concludes my class. What's going on right now is we're going to go into the preparation period for the next class, which is the bug thing that CCP is doing. This is a tremendous opportunity for us. CCP does not come down and interact with players like this very often. So definitely hang out for that. It's really huge.
Should we stay in here or go back to the lounge?
It will be done in here, so you can just hang out. It's fine.
Go back.
Not on this mumble channel, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you are correct. There's a different mumble channel. So, yes, please.
Look, dear Jerval, and one of the speakers is here in the channel.
CCP.
I'm also going to bet we belong in listeners and not in speakers with Deirdre Ball and one of the speakers.
Good bet. I'm not going to bet against you.